mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 4, Episode 9, the penultimate episode of the entire series of FX's Atlanta, entitled Andrew Wyeth, Alfred's World. Now, when I explain the episode title, you're going to understand what you saw in the episode a little bit more. What you won't understand is the reason for making this episode and placing it as the second to last episode of the series, but that's neither here nor there. Well, actually, it's very much here and there, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But I want to read a Wikipedia entry that's going to give some detail about why this episode is titled this way. So Andrew Wyeth is a painter, and the Alfred's World part of the title is based on a painting by Andrew Wyeth called Christina's World. So I'm going to read this Wikipedia description about Christina's World. Christina's World is a 1948 painting by American painter Andrew Wyeth and one of the best known American paintings of the mid-20th century. It is a tempera work done in a realist style depicting a woman semi-reclining on the ground in a treeless, mostly tawny field, looking up at a gray house on the horizon. A barn and various other small outbuildings are adjacent to the house. Now, if you Google this, this is me talking here. If you Google this painting, Christina's World by Andrew Wyeth, it looks like a shot from this episode. Like, you look at this painting and you'd be like, did Hiro Murai, who directed this episode, intentionally, essentially put Alfred in this painting? Yes, he did. It's very, very clear. But I'm gonna read one more paragraph from the Wikipedia entry describing the painting and what it looks like, and you're gonna understand not even what it looks like, but what caused it to be painted. You're gonna understand even more so why the title was chosen. So, the woman in the painting is Anna Christina Olsen. Anna had a degenerative muscular disorder, which meant that she had not been able to walk since she was about 30 years old. She was firmly against using a wheelchair, so she would crawl everywhere. Wyeth was inspired to create the painting when he saw her crawling across a field while he was watching from a window in the house. So that is the explanation for the title. Essentially, we see this with Alfred. He's not crawling because he has a degenerative muscular disorder. He's crawling because a tractor fell on his foot, but he's crawling across a field, looking up at a house. Like there's a shot in the episode that's just like this painting. So that's what the title is based upon, is this painting, Christina's World. Now, I've reserved a very special place in the comment section of this video. It's a place where everyone who talks shit to me about how I said this show relies too heavily on the viewer getting obscure references, that's a place for you to apologize. Don't worry, I'll wait. If this episode wasn't proof to you that I was right about that, you just want to disagree. Because, I mean, come on. Like, who is gonna, like... This Wikipedia article says that this is an incredibly well-known painting, which I don't doubt that it is. But I would wager less than 1% of the people who are watching Atlanta know this painting. Again, you are relying on people getting... This is easily the most obscure reference that this show has based the title upon. And you're relying on either your audience getting that and making that connection, or caring enough to Google it like I did. And I bet you that very, very few people are doing that. But hey, what do I know about being right all the time? So anyway, I think I'd almost call this episode kind of like a cautionary tale, like a tale of, a cautionary tale of like what can happen if you're like a fancy guy from the city who doesn't take country life or farm life seriously. More accurately, though, I'd call it a bewildering tale, because why the fuck would you put that as the second to last episode of the entire series? Like, why would that be an episode about not taking farm life seriously? Now, my criticisms here are, they're not completely coming from a place of like anger or disappointment. They mostly are, don't get me wrong, but like there's a little bit of tongue in cheek to this. I don't hate this episode, and I think it's because, even though I'm taking this opportunity to kind of like rub in the fact that every time I don't like an episode of Atlanta, that video gets a lot that video gets a lot of plays because you people can't wrap your head around this idea that you don't have to like every episode of a show that you enjoy. But I don't hate this episode despite these jokes I'm running off, because there's something endearing about a guy like Paperboy, a guy who's from Atlanta, who grew up in the city, living the life that he's lived, and being able to just have that release, that relaxation, and just being able to relax in the middle of nowhere. I can understand this now, being, a black guy from Detroit. Like, I know what it's like to like live in the city, live in the hood, live in a place where it's hustle and bustle. I know what it's like to be not judged, but like for it to be assumed that being out in the woods would be something that would be scary for me, or so unknown that I would be, almost like comically bad at doing it, which for the record, I was not when I did it. But, I'm a city guy myself. I need a Target, man. I need liquor stores, Walmart. Like, I need life. I need hustle and bustle. I need to feel like I'm in the middle of something. That's why I like going to New York. Like, I feel like New York is like that. I like that, just that feeling like I'm somewhere that important. I'm somewhere that matters, and everything is just accessible at all times. You get quick satisfaction, like all those sorts of things. But now, as I'm, I can't even say reaching middle age. I'm fucking there. At 40 now, I've grown very weary of people, and just like evidenced by like people who say stupid shit in the comments. Like, I'll ignore you, I'll delete the comment, because I'm like, I just don't have the patience to like speak intelligently to a dumb fuck. Like, I just don't have time. Like, if you want to be a cunt in my comments, go right ahead. Like, I don't have the patience, man. I got 4 kids, I got a job, I'm trying to make something out of this YouTube channel, so I ain't got to work no more. Like, my point here, I'm trying to focus the second half of my life on being happy, being peaceful, doing things that I enjoy, not being stressed out, all this kind of shit. So this episode resonates with me a little bit more, because now I see the appeal in that. The appeal in just being able to like, walk outside of a big house with a wraparound porch, sit in a rocking chair facing the water while the fucking sun sets and it's glistening off the water, and I got a fucking blunt in one hand, some fucking bourbon in the other, a cigar sitting in my ashtray, and just sit there and just in some nice weather and just chill with nobody around, and just be able to relax and not have to worry about work or responsibilities, or your responsibilities being something like, today I'm gonna learn how to change the oil in this tractor, and that's like the only thing that you gotta worry about that day. Like, that has its appeal to me now. So this episode resonated with me in that way. Now, it might not resonate with 25-year-old black guy from the city in that way, but when you have certain life experiences, and you learn things about yourself and you learn things about other people, this kind of stuff can resonate. But I think my biggest issue here is why. Well, one, what is the purpose of this episode? Like, what do you want your audience to take away from this? Because I don't feel like much of Atlanta's demographic, Atlanta the TV show, like its audience, not Atlanta the city and the people who live there, the people who watch Atlanta, whatever message that you want to give us about Paperboy having these experiences on this farm, I don't think this is really going to resonate with a lot of the people that watch Atlanta. So like, when you're putting this episode together, what's the goal here? Like, what do you want people to take away from this? Especially when you only have, this episode didn't even have a B plot. It was all Al in the middle of the woods, and that's it. On this farm, I should say. And I just don't understand why you make it in general. Like, what do you want the audience to take away from this? Because I'll save that for later. But also, why is it the second to last episode, man? Like, to me now, the finale has to wrap up so many things that are much more important. And I thought they would be like, okay, after the last week's episode, let's have these last two really do a great job of wrapping up the main cast that these fans are never going to see these people again. Let's really give, Al, Darius, Ern, and Van, let's really give them an ending that's going to make the fans of this show happy, which we may still get next week. But like, this episode felt like a throwaway, and it's like the second to last one. I don't really understand it, but Paperboy not taking country life seriously results in him having not one, not two, but three near-death experiences in this episode. The first is when he's, trying to change the oil. He's underneath the tractor, and the YouTube guys is like, yo, these hoes ain't loyal. This thing might fall on you. And he hops out, and it falls down. He narrowly avoids that falling on him while he's changing it. The second time, he doesn't avoid injury when the tractor, kind of like a tire kind of slips off, like a rivet, or like a little ditch. A tire slips off, and immediately, let me tell you guys, at no point during this show's run did I ever consider that they might kill off one of the main characters until he started pushing that fucking tractor while it was leaning off of this ditch in his direction. I'm like, this motherfucker gonna die. Like, I was seriously worried. I'm like, they're gonna kill Paperboy in the second to last episode? He doesn't die, but what should have happened happens. The tractor falls down this hill, and it pins his foot, but he doesn't die, so that's the second near-death experience. And then the third is when the pig attacks him, the feral pig attacks him at the end. I did like how he ended up killing the pig with the cast iron skillet that he told the hardware store guy he was not buying off Amazon. And then Amazon comes and delivers the fucking skillet that he ends up using to save his life in this third near-death experience, each of which got progressively closer to killing him. And side note, it was interesting to me that, like I said, each of these things got closer to killing him. After he survives the pig incident, he picks up the phone with Ern and then bullshits on what actually happened. Like, no, it's fine. It's fine. I'd have been on that bitch like, please send somebody to come pick me up. Send me a wheelchair or some shit. I also like the callback to the Crank That Killer episode, the whole safe farm thing that Soulja Boy suggested. I like the fact that he did that. And it's funny because, like, even in that moment, I was like, that don't sound like a half-bad idea, Soulja. But at the end of the day, though, this was like a very underwhelming penultimate episode. I think if you're, like, in the middle of a show's run and you give this kind of, like, introspective kind of episode, you can walk away and you could take something from it like, okay, well, that was an interesting look at a black city boy living on a farm. Like, that's not something that you see very often. Okay, Atlanta, I'll take it. When it's the second to last episode of the series, you just scratch your head, if you're me anyway. I don't know. I guess I'm disappointed at how these final two seasons, when you have, like, each week it's hit or miss. You might have a great episode, you might have a shitty one. Each week is kind of hit or miss with these final two seasons, and I'm disappointed that dynamic now has me kind of apathetic toward the finale. Like, I expected fully, even after the fact that I didn't really like season 3 that much, I expected this season to feel more like season 1 and to feel more, bring us a little bit closer to the main cast and end their stories in a way that's powerful, that's emotional, whatever the case may be. And now I'm just now we're here and I'm like, I don't know are we going to get an episode of, like, Darius, cooking bacon for an hour? Like, I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. And I don't think that they're going to do something like this, but at the same time, it's like, after 2 seasons of like hit or miss television, I'm just apathetic. I'm like, well, it's ending. I hope it doesn't suck. That's not the way I wanted. That's not the way I expected to look at the last episode of Atlanta. I hope it doesn't suck. Like, that sucks, man. If it was ending after season 2, the show, I'd be devastated. But now it's kind of just like, after 2 mediocre seasons where each week it was hit or miss, it kind of feels like, no pun intended, this show is limping across the finish line. Kind of just like, all right, well, like, I feel like we're going to watch it next week. And regardless of the quality of the episode, whether we love it or whether we hate it, even if we love it, we're going to be like, all right, well, that's it. As opposed to, let's say these last 2 seasons were on par with the first 2 seasons, and we had 4 seasons of a show that we fucking worship. And then it ends, we're going to be like, man, this fucking sucked. That show was so great. I'm glad I have that memory with me, but man, it sucks that we're not going to see these characters anymore. And I'm like, I can't even say it sucks that we're not going to see these characters anymore because we barely fucking saw them in these last 2 seasons. And it's like, that's what you want to have your audience leaving with, is a desire for more and a regret over not being able to, a sadness like, that's it. And now I'm sitting here like, I can't even really mourn not being able to see these characters anymore because the show's already conditioned me to not see the characters over the course of these last 2 seasons. But that's all I got for this one. Honestly, you saw it. There's not too much to discuss here. I figure I could have ended with the explanation of the painting, and that I wouldn't have really been shortchanging you on any content. But that's all I got for this one. I will see you guys next week for the series finale, and until then, peace.